You were working with the WWF when this happened, but we all, as wrestling fans, know that there was a backstage incident between Big Van Vader and Paul Orndorff, who was working for WCW at the time as a producer. And there was a physical altercation. And depending on who you believe, there's different versions of that story. But everyone pretty much agrees that when it was said and done, Paul got the better of Leon in that exchange. What did you hear about that? Because, you know, we as fans, we've always heard the telephone, telegram, tele-wrestler. Did that story make its way to the locker room almost immediately?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Very fast. And, you know, I heard, obviously, you know, with the outcome of it, well, you know, that's what people want to know, who won. First thing you ask, who won. Orndorff got the drop on him. You know, I talked to Paul about it. I talked to Leon about it extensively. You know, Leon was watching his right hand and Paul hit him with his left. I guess the left was the gimmick one, right? The skinny one.
Yeah.
I guess it still had the strength, but Paul knew that, and so Paul got him with the gimmick arm and got the drop on him. And once he got the drop on him, then he, you know, put the flip flops to him. So that's what I heard. And Leon basically told me the same story. You know, Leon said that you know, Leon hated it. Obviously, was very embarrassed about it, and he was not going to throw the first punch, is what he's told me, and apparently that's what happened. I don't know if, you know, fight happens, somebody throws the first punch. I'm not saying Orndorff stole him. You know, right. It was a fair fight. But when he went up there, he was not going to throw the first punch, and Orndorff got him with the first punch. And once he did, the fight was pretty much over. You know, Orndorff was a super tough guy, just like Leon. Leon, when he got him the first punch, probably the fight goes a different way. But Orndorff got him with the first punch and then put the flip flops to him.
First of all, I do want to talk about getting the first punch, but I just want to communicate to you how inside the bubble you and I are when we have a conversation where we're talking about a now deceased, someone we both respect a great deal, in Paul Orndorff, and in a way to describe the physical pain and trauma that his arm suffered to the point of atrophy. You and I, in our wrestling parlance, just say, he hit him with the gimmick arm. And I knew exactly what you meant without any further explanation. We're too far in the weeds on this shit now, John. You said the gimmick arm, like this son of a bitch had a go-go gadget arm, and he did. He's suffering from atrophy. And we're like, well, he had that gimmick arm. We've turned it into a foreign object. He's got the some bullshit.
But then he put the flip-flops to him.
I just love that you said gimmick arm, and I was like, oh, yeah. And then we moved on, and I was like, you know, outside the bubble, that is the most weird conversation ever, but we knew exactly what we were talking about. I wanted to say, though, about the whole first the first punch thing. I've thought that watching Power Slap. I know they flip a coin or however they decide who's going to go first, but I feel like no matter what happens, let's say you and I were doing Power Slap. If I slap you first, or you slap me first, the person who gets slapped is probably not going to be able to immediately deliver their very best right after.
Right.
So it's like whoever goes first, you got a 60% chance of winning just because you won the coin toss, right?
Right, exactly. I talked to, and I don't want to give away something away, but I love him so well. Heath Slater apparently was asked to do one of the slaps, and he's asking me, Ron, what do you think? And I said, dude, you lose the coin flip, and you got some guy that could break your jaw. You may not get a punch, you know. And so yes, the coin flip is very important in the power slap.
I don't want to betray any confidences, but I think you're pretty friendly with him too. Sin Bodie, he actually works with Power Slap, and I think he's reached out to a few wrestlers. I didn't know that until this past weekend. So when you just dropped the Heath Slater name, that's even information he didn't give me. But I love the idea that we might actually see more former professional wrestlers or current professional wrestlers be a part of Power Slap.
Oh, you know, I love Heath. You know, I was once pitched a thing to come out of retirement. He'd be my nephew, Clem. We had that on the JBL and Cole show. I love Heath. I had so much fun with him. He was riding with me and Ron the last time we were in Mississippi recently, driving to Memphis. We were riding together, and he was telling us about it. They reached out to him, and he said, "What do you think?" You know, he's a former Gold Gloves boxer. He's a tough dude. Heath Slater's a tough old country boy. And we said, man, it doesn't matter how tough you are. You got some guy that knows how to knock you out, and he goes first. you may not wake up till next week. And so hopefully we talked him out of it.
We'll find out on the upcoming season of Power Slap. I do want to talk a little bit about the fallout from that backstage altercation with Vader and Paul Orndorff. It was certainly the picture that was painted on the Dark Side of the Ring episode that they did a fabulous job with over on Vice.
They did.
They said, hey, after that, Vader didn't have the same sort of confidence in himself, and maybe that affected his performances moving forward because maybe he was in his own head about it. Maybe the aura and the mystique of him being this unbeatable badass. Like we all know when Vader beat him, oh, well, that was planned. That's pro wrestling. But when we hear that someone who was significantly below his fighting weight got the better of him, maybe it ruined the mystique of Vader. Do you think that Vader struggled with that mentally as far as his work? Okay, tell us about that.
I know he did. 100%. I know he did. Vader and I were together a lot. We drank together. We rode together some. We were good friends. Like I say, he treated me like a little brother, which I loved. I'll tell you a wonderful story of him coming up in a little bit about his last pay-per-view match, how he requested me. But every once in a while, he'd have, a few beers and, as you do, and start reminisce about stuff. And he would talk about it. It really bothered him. It really bothered him. It was something that, till the day he died, that bothered him.
I hate to hear that. Because
shit happens. Shit happens in life. And Orndorff's a tough guy. And, things happen when two big guys go at it, things happen. But Leon, I don't think it ever had anything like that happen to him before. He gets his eye knocked out by Stan, puts his eye back in, and takes off his mask and finishes the match. I mean, Leon's a tough dude. He just walked into a good solid punch, and shit happens. But it did. It really bothered him, and it changed him. It changed him as far as his confidence level.
Do you think it changed it because he felt like he had lost a step, or do you think maybe he was perhaps embarrassed that others felt like he lost a step?
It's a combination of things. When he came to WWE, there were two things that really affected him. One was the Orndorff, and I don't think that was as big a deal. I do think it bothered him. The mystique was taken off a little bit. The aura was, kind of knocked down. And remember, he had been over there with, some incredible fighters in Japan in the UWFI, and they hit him with a lot of shots that would have knocked out a normal person. Leon just walked through them. And, as you get older, like Dr. Death, as you get older, things that would not affect you when you're younger have a massive effect when you're older. And it also reminds you that Father Time is catching up to you.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that had an effect on Leon. But when he came down to WWE, what else had effect on him is we're testing for steroids. And that picture you put up when he's with Inoki.
Oh, he's so lean there.
He looked freaking amazing.
Yes.
And by the way, I'm not bashing the steroids. We all took them back then. They were legal. They were legal. You got them from CVS. It was not a big deal. Nobody knew how bad they were for you, nothing like that. So, but when he got there, Leon went from this guy who could bench press the world, and all of a sudden now you feel terrible when you have to get off of that. As you get older and they start testing, I've seen it over and over and over. I saw it in the NFL. I saw it in WWE. I saw it with the WCW guys. You feel like shit. So instead of feeling great and be able to go to the gym every day, you now feel terrible. You don't feel like going, and your muscles start getting smaller. You start getting fatter. That had a lot to do with Leon. The mystique was kind of taken off of him, and now he felt bad. He physically felt bad when he came to WWE. That's why I say we didn't get the same Vader. The Vader that was 91 Vader, he was a complete different Vader from the Vader that we got.
SaveWithConrad.com.
Yeah, I'm Justin Ruffin from Knoxville, Tennessee. What got me to Save with Conrad was the 83 Weeks podcast. I really wasn't thinking about getting rid of any debt. I just wanted to cash out some equity in the house to do remodeling. But I did both, so that was pretty awesome. Worked out great. Redid the foyer, built pantry space, and there was little odds and ends when I first bought the house that I wanted to take care of, and we were able to take care of it. So, paid off 2 cars and some credit card debt. So probably all in all, get $30,000 in that. And then I got some $30,000 more equity out of the house, and still plenty of equity left over. So payment's good. I lowered my interest rate. I'm in a much better spot than I was. Super easy. Everybody was great. Very, very awesome people. Francis and Steve were great to work with. They're awesome. Made it for a very easy, seamless experience. I'd probably say all in all, probably $1,000 a month at least. I lowered my interest rate, especially the way the interest rates are right now, which is, that's amazing. I'm Justin Bruckman from Knoxville, Tennessee. I saved over $1,000 with SaveWithConrad.com, and I did a lot of renovations with that money as well.
NMLS number 2129, Equal Housing Lender. SaveWithConrad.com.